Hey folks, it's Matt once again, wanting to give a few thoughts on a recent documentary I saw. I think it came out this year called Lost Soul, The Doomed Journey of the Island of Dr. Moreau. Now for those who don't know, this is in 1996 there was The Island of Dr. Moreau, which is a really crappy movie with Marlon Brando, Val Kilmer, directed by John Frankenheimer. Well, originally that film was going to be directed by a guy named Richard Stanley, who had done films like Hardware and Dust Devil, and he had very passionate project, these really nice sketches and ideas and a script that a lot of people liked, and okay, we're finally doing the film, and I don't know if it was 4 days or a week or not that long into production, he got fired. They brought in John Frankenheimer, and the film still went into a pile of piss. And this is about what happened during that time. I found it very fascinating. I love documentaries like this. I know there's one on Superman, which I did a pre-order. The Superman Lives, the one with Nick Cage, Tim Burton. That should be, I don't know. I mean, it's supposed to be coming out July 9th, but I don't know when they'll send them out. But I know there's one about Fantastic Four that I thought was getting made. I don't know if that's still getting made or whatever. And I like these kind of documentaries. Very fascinating. About how the original story of Island Dr. Moreau came about, and how there is another book that was written called Heart of Darkness, which was labeled as a ripoff of Island Dr. Moreau, and that Kurtz was a ripoff of Moreau, which is funny because that would be Apocalypse Now, and who would play Kurtz? Marlon Brando, which leads into later on. And just some nice concept art that Richard Stanley had, like this one art where it was Dr. Moreau holding, and he looked like Jesus, honestly, holding a animal baby, and back it's dog surgeons who were licking the blood off the surgical instruments, and how Richard Stanley's like, I would like to have had like Jurgen Prochnow as Moreau. Just really interesting things. And they interview Richard Stanley, they interview some of the people who worked on the film, Fairuza Balk, who is very partial to Richard Stanley, Bob Shea, who actually didn't want involved with this project. It was Mike DeLuca who wanted it. He was the one interested, him, and this guy named Edward Pressman. And Bob Shea, some stuff I don't understand about him. Like this one, first, the reason I say that, he talks about Richard Stanley being weird. And I'm like, did he do something? Did he say something? No. Someone asked him for a refreshment. And Richard Stanley says, I'll take a coffee with 3 or 4 sugar. And Bob Shea thought that was weird. Oh, man. Not sure about this guy. I'm like, because the guy took 3 or 4 packs of sugar? No one does that. What? What? Yeah, like the guy who put 50 packs of sugar. Or he pulled his dick out and pissed on your forehead. Bob Shea. Of course, you're the same fucking idiot that wanted the stupid ending for the original Nightmare on Elm Street. If you left Wes Craven alone, we wouldn't have that stupid ending we had now. Wes Craven would have just had the kids driving away and then a question mark. Is it a dream? Is it not? Which would have been better than, let Freddy drive it. Bob Shea. Kind of a fucking idiot, but that's just me. But about how the director became friends with Fairuza Balk, and Bob Shea didn't want Marlon Brando because he was a pain in the neck on, I think, Don Juan DeMarco. But Michael DeLuca wanted Marlon Brando. And that the film was getting made, and about how the Richard Stanley met with Marlon Brando, and ultimately Marlon Brando took a liking to him, so Richard Stanley could direct. And how the original cast, it was going to be, I believe, Bruce Willis is the castaway. It's weird, on Wikipedia they said that Bruce Willis would be Montgomery, but in the documentary, It says that Bruce Willis would have played the castaway and James Woods would have played Montgomery. And Montgomery is the role that Val Kilmer plays in the movie. So yeah, Bruce Willis is the star and James Woods is the Val Kilmer role, and they all liked the script, and then all went downhill. And it really just shows the bad luck that Richard Stanley had with this movie. He had a studio that didn't believe in him. Bruce Willis he was in his divorce with Debbie Moore, and he didn't want to do the movie. Meeting Val Kilmer, that was a mistake. This is around the time Val Kilmer had done films like The Doors, Tombstone, Heat, Batman Forever, which was a huge hit. And so he was very demanding. He was going to be the lead role, but yeah, I took the role, but I want 40% fewer days. Can I switch roles? Which means goodbye, James Woods. Sorry, James, you can't be in the film because Val Kilmer has to play it. Because the studio was like, hey, you lost Bruce Willis, which is not his fault. Bruce got divorced and he didn't want to do it. And then they go, hey, you didn't know Val Kilmer, there's no film. Nowadays, no one gives a fuck if Val Kilmer's in your film. Even back then, they shouldn't have given a fuck, but Richard Stanley was up shit creek. And then they got Rob Moreau for the lead. That's the guy who was in Northern Exposure TV show, a lot of the stuff. And the director, I mean, he was passionate. The locals liked him. And then more bad shit happens. Marlon Brando's daughter committed suicide. His PA got poisoned by a spider. Val Kilmer was just a bona fide asshole. He's being rude, he's being abrasive, he's playing power games, and saying, oh, come on, Stanley, we're not going to do that scene. No, I'm not going to do it that way. Wouldn't do what the fuck the director asked him to. Val Kilmer is a bona fide asshole. Next time you see Val Kilmer, kick him in the nuts, because he's just an asshole. Asshole. Just goes to show. And he had some nice interviews. I forget what the guy's name. I believe he's a German actor. He played he was like a servant, an assistant in the Finnish film. Unfortunately, they didn't get some actors like no Martha Costas, who was in the movie, but they didn't get any of Martha Costas, which is too bad. Or David Thewlis, which is the guy who replaced Rob Moreau. And I would like to have heard more about why Rob Moreau quit. You get little bits, like you do get an interview with him saying how, oh, I like the director, and he was passionate about it, if not a little green. And he was just getting bad vibes. That's really all he said. He was getting bad vibes, and he made a phone call and wanted to leave. But we'll like a little bit more in-depth talk about that. And also about how David Thewlis, who became the lead, the castaway, he's never mentioned, which I thought was weird. Never mentioned. But yeah, it's more about Richard Stanley. And again, very interesting story so far. And even one of the actors says, it's not even about the vision anymore. It's not about the movie anymore. It's about the name, the stars. And that they thought, oh, well, this film will be a hit because of Val Kilmer. I'm like, Batman Forever wasn't even a hit because of Val Kilmer. People didn't go see movies because of Val Kilmer. People saw Tombstone for Kurt fucking Russell. Okay? People saw Batman Forever for Batman. People saw Heat for Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, not for Val Kilmer. People saw Top Gun for Tom Cruise and fighter jets. No one goes to see movies for Val Kilmer, so the studio was idiots about it. But again, the director just had bad luck, shit creek, then a hurricane, bad weather, and then he gets fired. And you get the idea that it's mainly Val who got in the studio's ear and said, you better make a change. So fuck you, Val Kilmer. And Fairuza Balk, who is pretty much the lead female of the film, she didn't want to do the film anymore if her friend Richard Stanley got fired. She wanted to walk. They wouldn't let her. Frankenheimer came in. He was a tyrant. Marlon Brando arrives a week after he was due, and just all the kooky stuff. Marlon Brando, like, he first comes out, and it's that scene where he has all this cheesecloth, and looks like he's wrapped himself up in a diaper. He's got white paint, and he wants an ice bucket on his head because he's so hot. Even Feroza Ball was like, man, he's fucking with them. That's what he's doing. He's fucking with them. Wouldn't learn his lines. And Feroza Ball is like, hey, let's talk about the characters and such. And Marlon Brando's like, oh, just relax. You're getting paid. I'm getting paid. None of the scripts make sense. It's almost like after his daughter's suicide, or he's like, oh, it doesn't matter. And there's a fun interview with Bob Shea where he's talking about how he gets a phone call from John Frankenheimer where Marlon Brando told Frankenheimer, let's fuck Bob Shea. Let's just rewrite the whole movie and redo the whole film and let it bomb. And about how Marlon Brando wanted the little guy to be with him all the time, and that's why the little guy was with him. Which pretty much became, you think about Mini-Me and Austin Powers. People on the crew, Val Kilmer, they describe him as a prep school bully, which I thought was nice. And he would do asshole things like a focus puller with the camera, and the guy would fucking burn the hair from the sideburns of a guy. Someone should have just decked Val Kilmer in the face. I would have fucking decked him in the face. Decked him in the balls first, and then decked him in the face. And then you get the idea that Richard Stanley had actually stayed on the island. He had not left. And he actually sneaked back in as an extra. I mean, there's parts of the documentary I wish they would have gone in more. I wish they would have gone in more about Rob Moreau and him wanting to leave after a short amount of time, like more in depth in his interview with it. I would like to have what Richard Stanley was doing on the island during those months before he sneaked in as an extra. What was he doing in there? Was he just fishing? Was he just fucking around? What was he doing all those months? David Thewlis, they don't even mention him. But there's a lot of info, and yeah, Richard Stanley, pretty much after it, he really didn't want to get behind a camera again. I mean, the title really fits. Lost Soul, the doomed journey of the island Dr. Moreau. Richard Stanley's just a really interesting documentary. A lot of footage from back in the day, behind the scenes footage about how the crew, they didn't know what the hell was going to happen next. They would have these parties, they would get drunk, they would smoke weed, and just have a lot of fun. A lot of good, crazy stories about the making of that film, and I think they really feel sorry for Richard Stanley, and having an asshole guy like Val Kilmer, and then Marlon Brando, all the shit, he's kooky enough already. Then his suicide of his daughter, so he wasn't going to be there to back him up, or probably wouldn't have given a fuck if he got there. Losing stars like Bruce Willis, studio that wasn't behind him. There's one studio guy who just seemed like a fucking asshole. I can't remember the guy's name, but if you see the documentary, you maybe know who I'm talking about. He just seemed like a fucking studio cocksucker. That's just my opinion on it. But just a lot of really interesting backstory. So I thought it was a really good documentary. Interesting backstories. Interesting. I don't know if the DVD has... I don't know if a DVD of it is out. If so, are there features? Are there extended interviews? I don't know. Again, I don't know. But if so, I would like to pick it up because I really did enjoy the documentary. I know it's on VOD and other such, but yeah, if you're really into the making of a film, you're really into a documentary like that, tells interesting, crazy stories, then it's well worth the look. It's well worth taking a look at it. I really enjoyed it. Lost Soul, I thought it moved at a fast pace. It always kept interesting to me. And again, a lot of very fascinating stories. So there you go. That's just my thoughts on the documentary of the island of Dr. Moreau, Lost Soul. Thanks for watching, take care, and we will see you later. Bye-bye.